attempt. Double ban, like you mentioned, against BBQ. It was Azir, Rise, I said triple ban from ROX Tigers was laid at the feet of BBQ, and then Temp was like, well, now I'm 3-0 on Malzahar, I guess. So he was restricted, and it might just be triple ban again. So heavy priority from ROX Tigers on giving Lava coverage rather than Kuzan, you know, more of the carry of the two. So kind of bizarre from my perspective there, Valdez.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, you're leaving so many other picks available for guys like Trick, Ignar, you know, no ban out of Tom Kent. We can see him go for whatever he wants. Ghost can have his pick of any of the 80 carries that they don't ban out on their red side.
And you just think, okay, what is ROX Tigers trying to claim? Because their first pick here, they're more likely to give away champions, but short of the Kalista for Songyun, maybe even the Kog'Maw for Songyun, I think the first two bans, and there's no one champion that you think of for the ROX Tigers as a go-to. Maybe it'll end up being Kha'Zix just because it has been heavily prized. Lava's going to have the Azir that he did pick up a victory on against SKT, denied away as well. Now, Sejuani is available, so if they do just grab that here, it is a win when it comes to picks that have been very successful in the LCK. But to me, ROX were fishing. I guess they were fishing for a Sejuani.
There you go, picking that boar right out of the water somehow, some way. So they do get that very nice pick.
Varus Braum could be very powerful duo, maybe even just Varus Tahm Kench if you want to go that way. Caitlyn's also been common for Ghost, but he'll stick with the tier list and go for what is kind of the consensus fourth strongest jungler here. Is Trick's not going to lock in Ivern this early.
No, there is the Malzahar. They don't get the Kog'Maw this time, just the way the bans worked out, but Varus, another incredibly strong 80 carry out of the ones that are left over. They give Tempt a chance at 4-0 on Malzahar. Wouldn't be surprised to see it happen after the way Game 1 went.
Lava gets pick. I think when you have Sejuani already, you're going to move away from the Galio. I haven't seen a lot of Corki this season, but it is a decent choice into the Malzahar. Can just poke from range, can go for a quick Hex Drinker or a QSS. So probably going to be mid lane Corki here for Lava, you'd imagine. Was one of his favorites last season.
Yeah, I like the pick. It's one of the picks that I actually played a ton on solo queue in 2017. I mean, it was strong across the board in 2017. You saw a lot of it here at LCK. And a follow-up of a Sivir pick, actually, here for Songyun.
So they're going to actually lock in Sivir before the 80 carry pool is pinched. I thought maybe it would be Braum or Tahm Kench here. Braum is a big favorite with the Sejuani, and they kind of have their CC good to go if they just have those two lock-ins, but let's see what BBQ is going to do. They can start pinching, support role, and mid lane will be that pinch, and they will be taking the Zac once again for Trick. Good game from him in Game 1, and if he can get the same sort of start, there'll definitely be a bit of inevitability rolling through, as it's a Varus plug and play, but otherwise, two champions they piloted to good success in Game 1.
Yeah, it's interesting about that Sivir pick. You know, we saw what Kingzone did. There are just so many decent 80 carry picks that after the best are banned out that you can kind of just pick one of the guys that are left available even after the second phase. But they felt like the Sivir was important enough to make sure that they get that in before the second bans or ahead of any other pick.
Could also be that Songyun is kind of their guy, and getting him an 80 carry that he wants to play or that he feels suits the situation might be more important than some of his teammates. Adamir ban draws a Gnar respect ban, so top laners haven't been selected. When it comes to top lane champion pool, stuff like Ornn will certainly be considered. Will be insane amount of lockdown if Ornn was going to come through, and you get maximum value out of the brittle when you have this much CC, so we could see it, Valdez.
Well, they're going to ban it away from themselves.
Gangplank also a possibility here. But both sides was banned out in our first series of the day, but no Gangplank so far here.
Still have some counters left available. You know, Camille's still on the stage. You can see Linderong, you know, he actually has a self-drawn, no, not self-drawn, but a portrait of him as a male Camille in the booth. So definitely a pick he likes to play. We are going to see Tahm Kench taken away. So no more Ignar Tahm Kench.
So it's either Braum here and then counter-picking top lane, or just taking something like the Camille or Gangplank. But Gangplank up, it looks very appetizing, but it's time for ROX Tigers to try to run over topside. It won't be Kha'Zix to pair, but getting rid of a Gangplank was how they won their one game against SKT, so surely the Camille will be opted into again.
Yeah, you'd have to think so. But let's see if ROX have some different ideas coming into this one.
I think Camille Braum will be very good here. Camille and basically most support choices here will be fine. Taric is also a consideration because you have the Sivir ultimate to actually mean the Cosmic Radiance will be in a good spot. And this is actually highlights of Linderung having just his absolute way with Untara in that game.
He's pretty good on the champion, right? You want to give it to him, especially in this matchup.
Here's what I would say. For BBQ, if Braum is taken away, I think you just lock Shen again. For Ignar, we saw Shen riding on the Camille. Can be used to answer the Camille by the Gangplank a bit of time. Also, for extra initiation on the Zac. So I think Shen is a really good pick here. It could also just be something like the Taric and hoping the fight is brought to them. But when there's so much movement speed on the side of ROX, you kind of have a bit of pause that perhaps you'll just get kited out if you play the Taric.
Well, they are going to go ahead and pick it anyway here at the end. Oh, never mind. Switch it with 0 seconds left to Alistar. So they want to be a little bit more active with their engage with the cow.
And Alistar does allow you to try and headbutt Camille out of the Hextech ultimatum to cancel it. So displacement always the most powerful there. That's the only displacement they have on the team. Does kind of mean that Crazy's left to just deal with Camille and probably Sejuani for the majority of the games. Definitely going to be pain in the top lane here for BBQ, but they played the map really smartly in game one that you have to give them credit. They're going to be able to play around where they're weak, but also if Trick gets going, it almost feels like a lot of our pre-match kind of analysis goes out the window because if Trick is ahead, if you have a level lead as Zac, every lane of the enemy has to respect, unless they have perfect vision, the chance that he might be there from just immense range. So early game Trick can kind of undo some of the weaker parts of the draft here if he gets going.
Yeah, does need to get going. I would assume that he would try to make some plays down in the bottom lane. You've got Ignar with Ignite on the Alistar. And then you look at mid lane, you're going up against a Corki, not the easiest gank, and then a Camille up in the top side, who, if she's not the one engaging, not the easiest gank either. So perhaps Trick will want to go down bottom if he wants to look for any ganks.
Very possible. Maybe we'll see action bot lane. We saw it in game one. Be spoiled if we saw it 2 games in a row in this meta, but every chance. Excited to see the summoner choice from Cork. It could even be the Unsealed Spellbook if he so wants, but he already has a lot of mobility from the package that maybe the flexibility isn't as important. Pretty standard stuff from the side of BBQ. But if they can make the draft work 2 times out of 2, their match against KT on Friday gets all the more exciting.
Oh yeah, it definitely does. Well, we're just about ready to jump into the second game here. We'll have to see if BBQ can close this out 2-0 or if ROX Tigers will make a comeback. Lots of passionate fans here to begin game number 2 of match 10. We have a stun here onto Trick. Gets that flash away. Not often you see level 1 shenanigans, but they tried to make it happen.
Does mean now he's even a more appetizing jungler to invade Valdez, so Trick not going to be able to recreate his early game presence, you'd have to imagine, in a scenario like this. Because of the intro, he caught why he was just so far advanced, but nice little collapse there from ROX Tigers. Braum level 1 always has a high premium. Good start there, but maybe you're going to hope they can just return to normalcy and avoid that.
I really want to look at the runes here. I want to see what the Corki is going to take exactly. What is Songwon going to take as well if he wants to get more aggressive, maybe taking the fleet footwork. Wouldn't be too surprising. We've seen it a lot recently on this Sejuani pick.
It's pretty situational. Umti's been the big proponent of that, and across regions, it is kind of, there's no agreement. Precision gives you the faster clear, but Aftershock makes you tankier, so depending on your lineup, you go different ways. In this particular lineup, because he has damage, like sheer damage on 3 members, you can understand him wanting to just be a duo frontline with Braum and go for the Aftershock.
Get more aggressive, maybe taking the fleet footwork. Wouldn't be too surprising. We've seen it a lot recently on this Sejuani pick.
It's pretty situational. Umti's been the big proponent of that, and across regions, it is kind of, there's no agreement. Precision gives you the faster clear, but Aftershock makes you tankier, so depending on your lineup, you go different ways. In this particular lineup, because he has damage, like sheer damage on 3 members, you can understand him wanting to just be a duo frontline with Braum and go for the Aftershock. You to have to respect here, so they just train him down. Good communication between Sungwon and Linderong, who were extensively a duo in the past on 2 teams now, so good to see.
Yeah, you can see that Crazy had a ward down, but just not respecting the blasting plant and the ability of Camille to close distances as fast as she does.
So lane control on bot side has been established, but it's kind of the only good news story here for the side of BBQ. They want to stem the bleeding as much as possible. Upside at least going equal in farms, so that's something.
Take a look at the stopwatches in this game. Only 4. Feels weird to say that, but we had 5 in the last game, so just a little bit less. Minion dematerializer only on the Malzahar once again.
Sliding scales always with things like a stopwatch, like you mentioned. Definitely hasn't been 7+ a game like we had in recent OGN match days.
Yeah.
But again, players have had the chance, the coach had the chance to watch other regions in a couple of days off, review footage from 2 completed matches for most teams, so the learning's starting to come into play. Kind of the fun thing about League of Legends, when all global leagues get started, it becomes that kind of cultural language exchange where everyone comes by, and while the meta for every region is always at least a little bit different, there is always going to be overriding trends from other regions come back into the LCK and be spread from the LCK elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of Zach coming on in to LCK. Once again, we see Trick playing it twice today. Don't think we had too much Zach in the very beginning, like the beginning of last week, if I'm not mistaken.
It was less of it, but it definitely picked up steam after we saw a couple of successful games. Teams have not become as good at just training down the Zach. We saw so much of that after the Zach meta started to subside at the end of summer that it felt like Zach was gone, but square back in the middle of the meta as far as we can see, especially against Sejuani, who similarly has kind of an early game passive play style largely.
Well, not in this game, as Trick has had to deal with multiple invades. Gets the majority of his Raptors that time around, but it's got to be annoying for him as he's just trying to power farm up to level 6, make something happen. Crazy is not too far behind up in the top lane, only about 5 CS, even after getting ganked early on, so doing a decent job so far.
Victory for the side of BBQ in the early game here, I think, is largely about defensive control wards. If you can just deny Linderong and Sungwon repeat ganks in the top side, that's already a win for the Gangplank, who will usually keep up in CS. Trying to punish Ignar for trying to hold the wave. Wow. Gets the flash out of him. He has certainly been on the receiving end of those sort of situations many times, so gonna feel good about actually being able to punish.
He knows how that feels. We'll see how Songyun wants to do with his Unsealed Spellbook. Not too surprising on the Sivir that we see this nowadays. It's for that teleport that she does have to just get back to lane super fast, continue the oppressive pushing that Sivir likes to do.
Bit of normalcy here. First time we're seeing Sungwon back on the top side of the map, and will not be spotted as ROX Tigers control the vision on the top side of the map. We're going to see also some information here, and picking for lane, as you can see, in the Scorch. Kind of interesting to see the Transcendence here. You're going to look for the 10% CDR at level 10, so that's just about potentially combining with something like a Trinity Force and hitting 40% very early. Exec Ultimatum in the late game usually represents the death. You kind of just use it every time you see Gangplank if you're at a better item timing than him.
And especially when you've got a Sejuani nearby, but Crazy respecting it for now. Sticking in lane, they have Trick coming by. I think they might have smelled this. Problem being is that Trick is level 5, Sungwon is level 6. So here we go, gonna engage on in. Trick trying to help out his buddy, knock some heads together. They definitely knew this was happening. In comes the TP. That's gonna be a kill onto Linderong. Totally 100% counter ganked and wiped off the face of that top lane.
And a very nice next level. Temp was able to stay away from Corki. They were surprised by the teleport and also Trick, like you say, being under-leveled, but just being there. The ultimatum timed up. Linderong goes down. BBQ have that next level. They're scouting out the predictable gank paths from Linderong and Sungwon. Really good to see. We're going to see the replay here. Sungwon hadn't been revealed. While the passive shows in our client, doesn't actually show to the enemy. A hard commit on Crazy, but he ults himself. He used the stopwatch. Sick pose there from the Pirate as well. Malzahar's in position. Goodbye Linderong, and bit more breathing room for the gangplank, even if the inevitability of the matchup does come with time.
It's just really impressive to see how they read that through and through, right? You know, they even had Malzahar the second they saw Camille. He was already TPing, and I'm not sure if Sejuani ran over a ward in the top side of her jungle that they knew she was up there. Either way, they definitely knew she was there and something was going to happen. And so Tempt making a nice little TP up on the top side, making that happen. Should be an easier lane now for Crazy, taking a lot of pressure off of him.
And moments like that are kind of the skill cap of Malzahar, because, you know, we make fun of him, obviously his ultimate targeted ability, only has Q for a skill shot, but reading the map and being in the right position, on point, early even, you could say, reading the situation well is how you express skill as the Malzahar in the early laning phase. You don't die to early ganks, you try to push. But when you pull off the teleports like that, you make Malzahar look stronger than he already is.
Yeah. And it's cool, too, because you notice that the Corki picks up first item QSS. So they already identified, hey, we're not going to kill the Corki. Like, we're not going to lock him down, even with the Zac and the Malzahar. And so they try to make plays elsewhere. They go up into the top lane to try to go for a counter gank. It really works out, so got to feel pretty good about that one.
Really happy with Trick also, who kind of had his struggles on the international stage against some of the best teams. You think back to MSI and his attempts to play Nunu, bit up and down during Worlds as well, although had some better games after a rough start. You know, him and LCK was not necessarily a known quantity. Played on CJ Entus, but when he was a rookie, picked up that famous victory over SKT as Sungwon. Gonna get queued, but nothing more. There was no inevitability about Trick back in the LCK. 4 EU titles, some hype, but you know, people didn't really know what to make of him. And especially on Zac, you might think, is it just going to be another farming Trick game? Far away from his aggressive invading games on the Graves when he started in Europe. But this has been smart. His pathing to be there for the counter gank in top, and then a smart lane gank in bot lane. He's been in the right parts of the map. He's been creating action where he goes. It's good to see Trick fitting back well in the LCK.
You notice that Crazy up in the top side, I don't even think they saw Sejuani again, but he kind of just knew he was there and in danger. Speaking of Trick, he's going to try to kidnap himself to safety. That Sejuani ultimate will go wide and not do too much damage, but at least they do get the flash out of Trick.
Didn't get the passive that time. Drew the Gangplank ult out, which is definitely a bit of pressure relieved. In this sort of a game against Spellbook Gangplank, so Spellbook Sivir, you may actually have to use the Gangplank ult to wave clear bot lane when Varus is trying to recall. Is this going in here? It's Tempt again.
Tempt again from behind, another TP. That unsealed Spellbook, he's going to be there before you know it. And they make it happen once again. He was doing fine just on his own, but they're really capitalizing on the opportunities on Linderong before he has his flash available.
And playing on the tendencies of Linderong, who wants to run over Crazy. He wants to be the carry after being able to do that against Untara. But that, it feels like the VOD review of that SKT loss to ROX Tigers has been very smart from BBQ, because the moment they sniff danger, the moment that you see Crazy take a suboptimal trade, it's not suspicious to Linderong, it's just the go button, but the go button is being exploited by BBQ.
It really is, and after that flash from Trick at level 1, we were thinking, hey, maybe they're just going to have to sit back, and it's not going to be as one-sided as Game 1 was, but really got to give them some props to doing quite well here.
I mean, you hit enough
circumstances.
You hit enough early items, you know, get a Snowball Dirk or a Snowball Guardian Angel, and then suddenly Linderong is not going to be running over the Gangplank. He's going to be a lot more competitive. We'll see the replay here. The Crazy walks up. Let's see when the all-in is triggered. The teleport's already seen. It's probably already kind of Linderong understanding that he's in a lot of trouble here. Nothing he can do. Both summoners back up because of the spellbook cooldown reduction. As he gets the last hit, it's just a smart teleport play at the end of the day. Really nicely engineered by BBQ.
Yeah. Crazy had already been taking nice trades in preparation, right? He was forcing trades against the Camille, which you don't always want to do. He was saying, okay, we got this on the way. Let me try to chunk down Linderong. Look at how good he is with his barrels. Third one linked up. and getting Linderong below half health now. Look at this, Ignar. He's got Flash and Ignite. We'll see where he wants to go.
His boots are made for roaming as well, so see what happens here. Boots of mobility very early, but just creating a bit more map pressure on the top side as ROX Tigers, in spite of everything, are starting to set up the Rift Herald. Infernal's the first spawn, so if we're swapping objectives, that's perfectly happy, but for now, we can see the Trick is just in his jungle clearing, so it might just be a freebie for ROX.
Well, he is going to ward here. We'll see if they do want to go for a 3v3. Not looking like it, but spotted is Songwon. He has to back off for a little bit. We'll delay this capture, and he actually might just reset it and back away. It's a lot of wasted time for Songwon to be killing the Rift Herald and not get anything for it. Speaking of which, here comes Ignar. Those boots were made for roaming, as you said. He's got the QSS, and so they're not going to completely engage. They also spotted Pete coming in, and so they let him get away off of that one.
No ult channel there. Temp knows better than to use that ultimate to, obviously, as Ignar's just being a jerk, trying to stop Key from holding the lane.
Yeah.
We've heard that story many times before.
Okay, someone's back for a similar gank as level 3, but Linderong eats damage and Crazy flashes. So he's in a decent spot here now.
That's actually a very narrow window for Crazy to be able to flash that. He flashed during the tail end of the animation from the hook shot and was able to deny the ultimate from being used there. Certainly would have been the death of Crazy over the course of that with Sejuani there, but very nicely done between the stopwatch and the flash. Means that Gangplank, after that early death, has not died again, and BBQ just turned onto the Infernal Drake.
Yeah, we got one control ward here in the Tri-Brush, set up by Ignar very early on, and so it'll just be this free Infernal, essentially. Sungwon was back in the base, and the gank did not work out up in the top lane.
BBQ are doing a really good job of making enemies accountable. In this game, the ROX Tigers really have been ultra made accountable. They haven't been able to pick up free objectives. Even the lane that led to a very early kill for Linderong, they've never allowed there to be a return gank. This is a sign of a good team. Not allowing the enemy to play their own game while also playing a game of your own is really top-level stuff. So again, another optimistic point for BBQ, who look more on point macro-wise than KT certainly in their victory a few days ago. And that's why that KT versus BBQ game coming up on Friday gets all the more interesting.
I love the moves from Crazy as he's coming up the lane.
He has a 49% damage share.
He's got to be feeling pretty good right now.
Almost a 50% damage share because he can ult to other lanes and because most of the action has been topside.
Yeah, it's really staggering when you look at the the impact that Tempt has had on the map compared to Lava. Lava picking up the QSS early makes him, you know, okay against ganks, sure. But what about other lanes, right? He's not really helping. Even with this package, he hasn't been able to visit any other lane and really make an impact anywhere, whereas Tempt has come top twice, and now he might have a place in this fight as Key is going to be kidnapped straight into Tempt, but here comes Sungwon. The ultimate is blocked there by Trick, but that's too much damage. Slava's getting on in now. Ghost and Ignar a little bit too late to that fight, as well as Crazy. That'll be 2 kills going over to the ROX Tigers, a double kill for Corky.
Yeah, that time the pinch was on point from the members of ROX Tigers. Ghost couldn't be involved in the fight. First good news story for ROX Tigers for a while in this game. Does get them 2 kills. Yeah, it felt like Tempt, for once, did not read the map as well. He wasn't free to ult in that regard. They were never going to pick up a free kill. And it should lead to the very delayed Rift Herald finally being picked up for ROX Tigers. And when you see the replay, for now, things are fine. Varus is also going to be first to react from bot side. So you think, okay, this is BBQ getting a big lead. But Gangplank, for this point, hasn't committed to coming in. Varus is not there and can't really walk past Lava. Doesn't want Lava to turn onto him. So Ghost just misses ultimate, leaves. Crazy's not a frontliner. Puts down a 1 rotation of spell and leaves. No real way for Crazy and Ghost to be involved there. Most of the gold is on Ghost as well, awkwardly. So they back away. No gains for BBQ. Big gain for ROX Tigers.
Well, they're trying to make something of it, BBQ is. They want to push in the bottom side. Trick even visiting down here. But you can see how low that turret is. They want to pick up the first blood turret gold. See if they actually have an opportunity here. You notice that Songwon is making his way down towards his own red buff in the bottom side of the map now.
Ghost keeps pushing up. Will be Steric's second from Gangplank. That's what you take in many tough lanes. I mean, more and more the standard build. Ability to have that overshield and the chance that even in the ultimatum you'll be able to turn if you have a big enough item advantage, which for now he's looking pretty damn good with the Jerome's Fist and also the pickaxe on top of the Trinity Force. Represents his lead for now.
I love that Ghost pokes forward, just min-maxing so well. He has, you know, some lifesteal on his fleet footwork. He's just like, well, I might as well get one more chip damage. Could be the difference between us getting first blood turret and not getting the turret. It's a very little move, but I like it. Notice that Sungwon comes down as well as Lava down towards the bottom side. They really do not want to give away this turret here.
It's definitely going to be the battle zone for the rest of the game. Gangplank and Camille tussling in top side. Lenong does have teleport advantage and is ready to go. They have to watch themselves here. Does BBQ.
Yeah, good respect here by Ghost, Ignar, and Trick just to get out of the way. Notice that Lava was coming down. He picked up that QSS early, but now after a double kill, he's got Trinity Force as well as Azeel.
Well, a successful gank so far for Sungwon. Has been very active, whereas Trick has had kind of, as you expect with Zach, a little bit more of a lean time in the first 15 or so minutes.
Notice how the heat map shows basically no one in the bottom lane. Everybody's top.
Well, when it's double overheal, double tank supports, top lane was always going to be more of an attractive place to gank if you're a jungler, and it just seems to be confirmed that whether it is King Zone or not, it's what people are going to be focusing on as Ghost gets some early shots in before the minion wave arrives.
He really wanted that first blood turret, but it's going to be taken away by the Rift Herald and ROX Tigers in the mid lane. Kind of unfortunate, but a nice response out of ROX. They knew the plan here from Ghost in the bottom lane, and now maybe Ghost got a little bit too ahead of themselves. Here comes the gank, but they will just go away.
Yeah, flexibility of Sungyun's to pop ultimate and deny the answering turret. Standing gold certainly going to be there with such a low health turret, but slow down the onslaught of Ghost and Ignar. They're just going to return turret now. I want to get that objective to start equaling up the gold. Very narrow gold lead for BBQ, about 900 gold, 1,000 gold at this point. Steric's Gage finished, so this is kind of the big problem, is that when you have a snowball laner like Gangplank, things go well for him, which in this matchup is not dying 3 or 4 times, like we saw Untara have to deal with. Things look really good for him. Like, he's in a position now where he is actually dictating the pace of the game, which very rarely happens 20 minutes as Gangplank.
Yeah, he's sitting with the CS lead. He's got 2 items now, and he even was doing a bit of damage to the turret up in the top side, really dictating the pace. As you were saying, the scaling out of Crazy. You can already see the damage that he's done so far, but I guarantee you once he hits 3-4 items, he's going to be scaling even more. Now we're just really waiting for Ghost to get online. Tempt is always going to kind of be there as Malzahar, not really the main damage dealer, but a little bit of supportive damage dealing as well.
Let BBQ play one lane better than ROX Tigers can, because they can have Zach just shadow as Rageblade Varus walks up to a turret and will invariably take that objective over time. Ignar can threaten the turret dives, so can Trick. So for now, at least, ROX being dictated to.
They're being told what's what, Papa.
Definitely.
It's not their game to decide how it's going to go down.
Which, when you have the Camille versus Gangplank, that's always a bit concerning. Usually think right now that Gangplank's going to be forced across the map because he can't lane against Camille, but because of the early game, that's not the case here.
And you think about Camille's opportunities to do stuff in later game fights. She can try to ult onto the Varus that doesn't have an escape per se, but she has the Alistar that you were talking about, seemingly will be the perfect support pick for the later game fights against the Camille.
A lot of face checks here, a lot of people testing each other out, as the turret HP, as we noted, is very low for ROX Tigers around this area, but Malzahar and Gangplank free farming. Camille just taking Krugs, trying to buy time. So because the rest of the map is in order, there's no need for BBQ to rush things on the top side. That's why we do see them disengage. They already CS lead here for Crazy.
He's got his TP as well, so if any shenanigans went down up in the top side, he'd be there on time, whereas Linderong would have a lot more trouble, which is why it seems like ROX does not want to hard engage right now. They just kind of want to get some vision down. As I say that, Sungwon, okay, he was going a bit deep, but again, just for getting some deep rewards on in there.
Yeah, Trick hasn't been spotted. Once again, playing around vision. He was spotted maybe when he went to clear the control ward, but not 100% clear on that. Moment more than one person backs. The chance of this turret going down goes up. Rom cancels his back. And may just end up giving this turret in top side.
Yeah. Even Ignar moving forward just to check. You know, he's like, okay, have you backed yet? Let's see. Songyu taking a bit of damage here. He not in the perfect position with the shield.
I mean, when you're at 6 Rage Bait stacks, it's right to turn on, take a couple of turret shots because you will trade up in that particular scenario. So great understanding of when he's strong by Ghost. Only thing that balances Rage Blade Varus is the fact that the first 6 orders can find the same sort of value, even with the on-hits and the Wit's End.
Okay, well, it looks like this is the big push on in. Even Sivir blowing her ultimate, saying, okay, I want to get out of here. And we thought it was the big push, but just taking some ultimates away from Sivir, I suppose.
Crazy's ready to show up to Linderum and say, hey guys, I got this Guardian Angel now, I'm ready to go.
He's getting a bit crazy. I mean, it's...
Bit on the nose, Valdez.
Yeah, it's 3 items now. He's going to be able to 1v1 against this 1.5 item Camille quite easily. Probably sitting on some gold, shouldn't be that far behind. She's going to back now.
Definitely no assassination coming through from Linderung, though.
No. Down goes the turret. So make that 2 off of the Rift here.
ROX is still very competitive in the top side jungle, which means that despite the Gangplank doing well against the Camille, the Baron that BBQ secured so well in the previous game isn't going to be a freebie this time for BBQ.
Yeah. ROX still able to steal the red buff. Trick is going to actually ultimate away to safety. Seems like there just was no vision around the red side. Was not expecting them to be there.
I mean, he answered ult for ult, because Sungwon did throw out the ult during that exchange as well, so the untargetability of the Let's Bounce gets him out safely.
Well, the next Drake was an Ocean Drake, not as important as the Infernal we had a little bit earlier on. Definitely helping out, especially Crazy and Ghost, do that little bit of extra damage.
The game has stalled a little bit, Valdez.
Both of the junglers have Warmogs, by the way. The Ocean Drake would be a nice addition, I suppose. But once you already have the Warmogs, it's going to be helping other members on your team a little bit more.
Problem here for BBQ compared to the last game is getting any sort of advanced vision has eluded them. The only control ward they have, or even vision they have above the kind of 50% mark, you know, towards the jungle of ROX, is the single control ward near the Ocean Drake, and BBQ haven't been putting any big priority on the Ocean Drake. That does mean the game will delay. If you look at the comps and say, who does that really benefit in the late game? It's kind of tricky. Sivir, as we learned from Teddy, the Fountain Laser himself, is insanely powerful at 6 items. Evaluating the junglers, Zac and Sejuani about the same. Maybe Sejuani because she's non-committal with her initiation. Only real obvious scaling advantage is probably going to be the Gangplank over the Camille, and even then it's not massive, so they're pretty even in the late game for an extended game. And the gold lead is only 2100, so nothing massive. Right now, abusing Linderung is what Crazy needs to be doing. So
well, he's trying. We can see how that's going on down there. Lava, though, on the Corki is going to be pretty obnoxious once you get late. His poking ability, especially against guys like the Varus and the Malzahar, it's going to be really hard for them to deal with in extended fights where ROX can put down a lot of poke. So taking away this Ocean Drake will be nice to, you know, if BBQ had the Ocean Drake, it would help out against that poke a lot better.
Linderung went for the Ravenous Hydra second instead of Titanic, just wanted a bit more combat readiness now. Understands that going to Titanic might cement the losing trades that previously Camille had been taking. There were buffs to the passive for Camille in recent patches, post All-Star, so the ability to have that up more reliably means that if you can just play around your shield cooldown, you do win trades against the Gangplank even this far down in terms of items, so that's good news for Linderung.
can see how the fight is going down here in the bottom side. Crazy has a bit more sustain with his oranges, but Linderong is putting up a pretty good fight so far. Got to hand that to him, especially as the early game was not so great for our Camille.
It's a good matchup, but the difference is that she needs to be killing Gangplank. Going up in terms of trades is the bare minimum when you picked an advantageous matchup, and Gangplank also has the gank and map assist with the ultimate.
We only have one blue trinket on the side of ROX, and it's on cooldown. So this is going to be a bit of a bait in here. Trick, though, missing everything. They're going to have the Varus ultimate land, but it's on to Key. Can they even get the kill here? It's extremely close. And finally, Tempt gets that last bit of damage in. Now Sungwon, he's got that 6-stack Rage Blade Ghost right on his back. Is going to push him way back there. Now Trick getting a little bit too far forward. One more rocket. He's going to get healed. And he dodges that last one in lava. Getting a little bit too far forward. Gets hit by the barrel. And Ghost, he's going off now. Forces off that stopwatch. Able to take out him and Linderong. This is going so totally wrong for ROX, but so right for BBQ, who just dragged that out, and Ghost is able to do such sustained damage for the majority of that fight.
I just love the fact that BBQ, what, a couple of months into their lifetime as a team, when they go as a team. Ghost was tanking up the turret for 3 or 4 shots on the back end. They were so confident they could take down the members of ROX Tigers. That's the sort of synergy that usually takes time to build up. On point from BBQ. And just like we saw in our first series, you blink and you miss it, and suddenly the game blown wide open for BBQ.
7,000 gold ahead now, and that's before they can get any of these turrets with the Baron. And keep in mind, there are a lot of turrets to get that extra gold. I want to see how this replay goes down, because in the beginning, you know, Trick kind of engages, they use everything on Key. Wasn't looking so good, but they make it happen.
So we watch the replay here. You talked about the lack of blue trinkets. That meant that they had to face check. Trick doesn't get a lot of value out of his ult, and you think this is not going to happen. They go on to Braum. He's the closest target. Doesn't have QSS, of course. He gets ignited and dies to the ignite. But the big story here is the confidence that BBQ feel after they get full information, like, where is Camille? Where is Camille? Crazy puts out a control ward, spots Camille, but then watch BBQ re-engage. Lava gets greedy, going for the kill. Did not need to move that close to the brush. And then everyone piles in. They see the DPS down. Crazy flashes in. Ghost flashes in. He's still tanking the turret, by the way, this entire time. 4 turret shots taken by Ghost, but no worries whatsoever. That belief, listening to one call, we hear that Trick is the shot caller, listening to his shot call and saying, we can win, we can win. Clearly they could. Very big win for BBQ. And just as it felt like ROX had stalled out the game and really made some of the side lane victories for BBQ a non-factor.
Yeah, I was watching a lot of Ignar in that fight. Props to Crazy, he's doing very well. You could see 46% damage so far and 100% kill participation. But Ignar got 2 very key engages during that fight. One onto Songyun, so he wasn't following up with any damage early on. And then one onto Lava on that re-engage you were talking about. Didn't even have to blow his flash. He's still got it now for their Baron push. And he's even more of a threat on the support side for Ghost, who's just ravaging these turrets down.
It's an aftershock, Alistair, so his flash is even more important than it was Unsealed Spellbook, and you could do some shenanigans and swap around summoners and get other engage tools, so needs to be on point, more narrow, but does have the Righteous Glory for his pseudo-ghost and the initiation anyway. To me, that was a big mistake by Lava to walk up. You know, when he missed the rocket, when he saw the heal, he moved that much closer, about 100 units closer, and allowed the initiation as well. He's in trouble here, Tempt.
Yeah, well, he's got a stopwatch. We'll see if that gets him out of the... Nope, it doesn't.
Nope.
GP ultimate. It's a bit cheeky trying to discourage them from going on in, but this might not be done here. Ghost taking a little bit of poke damage from Lava.
It's the Baron buff, though, and the duration's going to largely be wasted now because of a smart engage by ROX Tigers. So good to see from them. That will delay the game a little bit. Ghost backs away, the rest back. We're going to see the replay. Sungwon walks up to Tempt. His passive is down. He's dead. You know, there's no realistic way to get out of this. No need to use the flash. He knew that he had gaffed. He had made a mistake there, so he's taken out.
Yeah. You get this feel when you're playing Malzahar and you have your spell shield up. You're like, oh, we've got Baron, we've got pushing minions. I got one of my allies nearby. I should be fine, but you're going up against so much CC and Sejuani and a Braum that you really have to be careful in moments like that, especially when you don't have vision. Notice that there's a control ward in between the 2 lanes right there, so made that gank even easier.
Also suggests that perhaps BBQ needed to. That was one of the small areas we could say that the vision game got away from them, because the ability to cut first between bot lane and mid lane when you have the when you're sieging around the inhibitor, when you have the Baron buff, is so important that that vision sticking was one of the reasons ROX felt confident enough to walk up and get the engage they did.
Well, taking a look at the control wards on the side of BBQ, they only have 2 members that have slots for the control wards, so we're looking at a full build gangplank at this point. Just finished that up.
Full build on Varus just now, turned the BF sword and now has the completed Mercurial Scimitar. Watching here on the Ocean Drake fall very, very slowly. Note, though, that Lava and Sungyun both have Infinity Edge, and also that Sungyun is super fed. Double Zeal item, Essence Reaver, and Infinity Edge. It's a pretty squishy lineup armor-wise from BBQ. You can count the armor items onto basically Ignar only shot of the Ninja Tabis, so there is still a team fight that ROX Tigers wins. 7,000 gold down.
Yeah, this is when we get the broken.
We're gonna see a base race here. We might see a base race.
It's kind of looking like it. Okay, we got 4 members of ROX up on the top side.
Crazy should have ulted this much earlier. Seemed surprised it was happening. They can tank it up. They're gonna get an inhibitor for free.
And look at this, Trick is the only one back home. Looks like he's on delaying back duty. We'll see if he wants to get in. He's delaying a couple of members right now, but Songyun and Key are gonna make their way back.
He doesn't have any range disengage. ROX Tigers in this game, getting inhibitor for inhibitor is a huge win for them with how the game was going. Baron buff only just timing out of the remaining members of BBQ. Hear a bit of a cheer from the ROX Tigers fans. They know that was a bit of a heist.
Trick is gonna die too. He's gonna go down, and can BBQ get another one of these things? TP comes in, trying to save him.
Interrupts the teleport.
Yeah.
They're gonna try and end the game.
Okay, it's gonna be up to Ghost here, but it gets exhausted and locked down by the Q from Braum. Right now, though, looking crazy. That burst damage out of Crazy and Ghost is way too much for Linderong to handle. He's not tanky enough.
There's no minion wave in topside. 1 Nexus turret is down. Very rarely do we see this sort of action in Korea. The respawn onto temp backs them away. 2 inhibitors are down. There's pandemonium here. It's joining a teleport of all things.
Yeah, another teleport, this time from Lava, but it gets interrupted. Okay, it looks like the hullabaloo is going to be over now as we have an Nexus turret down, and BBQ got 2 inhibitors out of that. So
we had a late game fiesta on our hands there after what was previously by the book from BBQ. So ROX Tigers were smart. They just sent their members down, channeled the recalls. They ended up trading down, but there was almost a moment there where they could have just won the game outright, and trading evenly in that scenario should never happen with how the game had gone for BBQ earlier. So I do like the decision that was made. Again, they end up paying for it, but they were in a spot where they may have never been able to take the game into their own destiny. They may have just been waiting for BBQ to get all their minion waves in order and then just win the game. So I like the risk ROX Tigers took, even if it didn't pay off in the ultimate fashion.
Well, you got to take risks. You got to make plays if you want to come back in games. You don't want to play it like old Jin Air where you just sit on your butt and don't do anything and just eventually die. So we have no vision around the Baron now for ROX, and it's going to be up to Seungwon alone to check. Very nicely done. He's so tanky that all he has to do is show his face and then he backs off. You don't have to fully engage, even if you don't have full vision of the Baron pit.
Crazy doesn't have teleports. They're going to give up free objectives for this. Camille will take the bot lane outer turret.
Okay. Package here on Lava. He's got that extra movement speed. Ultimate coming on in. They want to engage 5v4. Ignar coming from behind. Kind of getting anyone, but look at Crazy. He's getting very low. Ignar's going to get on top of Lava, but he flashes away. Now Trick isn't able to kidnap anyone, and the engage does not work out for BBQ, even with the flank from Ignar.
Camille's pushing against the super minion, so it's pretty slow, but BBQ feel pressured. The ult is down. Now they're going to rush Baron. This could just be a 50-50.
It's looking like it, and I think BBQ knows it too. This game is running away like a railroad car right now. It's out of control. We got Sungwon in the front. Ignar's gonna lock him up. The Baron is incredibly low. Who's gonna get it? It's gonna be the Zach. Trick does get it in the end. Crazy, he's gonna have his GA popped. The Ghost totally protected in the back now, can rain damage on everyone else in ROX Tigers. Are they gonna get anyone is the real question. Looks like he might be the only one to go down, but he gets the stand beside me with the help of Sungwon there to help him get away, and they're delaying a lot of time now.
They're chasing still pretty extensively. Sungwon's gonna be almost full health from his warmer. Just an over chase and then some. Yakety Sax, let's cue it. It was queued a few moments ago there. ROX Tigers fans love it because no one dies. They get the Baron BBQ, but only just, and it was basically a 50-50 by the end. The suppression, as far as I could tell, had ran out. There was a real chance of a smite contest. It doesn't happen. But the clean playbook has now gone through the washing machine a couple of times. Definitely gotten unclean. We're gonna see the replay. Watch specifically for the jungler. He's suppressed for now, but as you can see, he's not suppressed at the end.
Yeah.
There was a chance for a steal. It doesn't come. Tempt is clinical, 2 levels up, so it had the 1,000. Sorry, I should say the jungler was same level, actually. Trick was 1 level up only, so 50 extra true damage enough to secure it. No kills. They kind of turned off Key when they saw the stand. So the Unbreakable, unable to kill him. From there, BBQ will still be able to rinse, repeat with Baron buff for another couple of minutes. No guarantee this game is going to end during that Baron duration.
Yeah. Trick learning some valuable skills over in EU, knows how to smite here in LCK. Doing a little bit better than Sungwon that time around.
He had a couple of struggles with that ability in the past, so he'll definitely take that one.
He's got to be feeling pretty happy. Keeps his team in the game. Had the Baron been stolen away, I think it would have been doubtful for ROX Tigers to take the fight afterwards, but they get the Baron and run away, and they would have been in a much better spot. So
even against Baron minions, Sivir does so much damage to the waves. It's actually very difficult to siege against Sivir if you pile down one lane. And awkwardly Crazy, very early in the game, pre-40 minutes, had sold his boots. So he actually has no boots previous to 40 minutes. He does have Youmu's, he does have some movement speed from the Phantom Dance, so trying to get extra crit to make his Infinity Edge work. But his ability to play a sideline, he'll have rings run around him by the hook shot and everything as we pile onto Zach.
Okay, Trick taking an immense amount of damage, but look at Sejuani in the front line being suppressed for an incredibly long time. Ghost critting him down like he's made of a piece of paper. Sejuani just disappears off the map. And that's going to be the Elder Drake, no doubt, for BBQ.
And that was, of course, not just Ghost, it was also Crazy critting him with the Gangplank, the barrel doing 900 damage, the full tank Sejuani. Free Elder for the side of BBQ. Still Baron for 40 seconds. They do not want to let, they don't want to recall because they got both buffs burning.
Yeah, send Ghost mid. He can clear the wave fast. Then you get mid and bottom lane here. They don't really have a push in the top side, but they should at least be able to secure both of the inhibitors from earlier on.
They don't have an inhibitor turret bot lane, so Sivir's wave there becomes less relevant. 15 seconds on Sungwon.
That should be enough time. They're going to go for this inhibitor, make a quick run up into the mid lane.
5 seconds on the Sejuani.
Got to begin poking this down.
A lot of respect from BBQ.
Triple barrel from Crazy. Nobody's going to attempt it, but Ghost, he gets slowed down and stunned by the Braum. He's still alive, though. Gets into the back, will ult for safety. Here comes Camille into the back line. He's going to lock down Ignar alone. Has that ultimate up and available. Linderong, in the end of it, actually almost dies.
Yeah, Linderong was low health, so kind of just ulted out of frustration or to use the ability. Like you say, gets no value from it. BBQ will back away. I thought Ghost was going to be done. It felt like a couple of even ricochets would have killed him. It was around 500 health, but the Stone Plate Shield was just enough tankiness. They get the 2 inhibitors, they get out. Good stuff for BBQ. We're going to see the replay here. Watch what happens. So it's a lot of damage, but watch Crazy come in. The barrels there do 805 damage against full tank Sejuani. This Sejuani was accelerated, remember. This was not an emaciated Sejuani by any means. And that's what 6-item, no boots Gangplank does to a full tank.
Yeah. The damage was raining down from the duo, the 2 late game carries that BBQ has here.
There's no Infinity Edge on Ghost, so it doesn't have much crit to show for, just the rapid fire cannon.
Well, Making their way up towards the top side now. A bunch of out-of-position members from ROX. 2 recalls, make that 3 recalls.
Kind of bizarre seeing specifically Lava so far up, trying to play the side lanes with teleport, but that just led to Trick face tanking the turret for a little bit. They still have Elder Dragons, so those auto attacks still burn.
Zach is just a massive monster glob right now. Elixir of Iron probably picked up. Gigantic. Look at him go.
Crazy spin. 6 items for a long time. Still waiting for Linderang to finish his Mercurial Scimitar.
He's getting there. Trying to go for another flank. He's all about the flanks today on Vladimir and Camille.
Flash is down on Ghost, who's kind of a sitting duck. It's worth noting. They don't have a Tahm Kench to escort him out. Alistair would have to get lucky to fully disengage the Camille from the Hextech Ultimatum.
Is this going to turn into another one of those
incredibly
long games?
I had that thought.
Because they got a Sivir again. You were talking about clearing Baron minions. She's really good at it. And especially when they're not Baron buff infused.
Yeah, Corki's wave clear does fall off a cliff against Baron buff minions because of the magic damage quotient, whereas physical damage against the minions, and the Ricochet especially, is the true MVP. It definitely can stall out. This may go straight to another Baron, another Elder. 30 seconds on Baron, though, and the lanes have been pushing forever, so they're aware that maybe a blue trinket will be thrown down, but otherwise it's going to be very difficult for ROX Tigers to get vision in the area.
Might just come down to whether or not BBQ are confident enough
Look
to
how much
engage
larger Zach is
turrets.
than Varus.
He's like 4 times the size right now. His leg is the size of Varus. The giant of the team.
Reminds me of the Cho'Gath analytical point where you just stand on top of the AD carry and it becomes very difficult to not click on Cho'Gath. Good fun.
I wonder if you can do that with like Alistair and a Zach.
I mean, it
Zach's
is
too
difficult.
tall, you know?
It's true.
Cho'Gath is low to the ground. He's more down to earth.
Blue trinket there. Sungwon leads the charge. Baron at about 6,000. They're going to have to turn here, BBQ.
Yeah, unless they want to go for another 50-50.
Ignar, he's on a mission.
Okay, he's coming from behind, and he's going to catch Corki in the background. So many shields keep him alive, but Ignar will get the kill in the end. Crazy getting low, but you can see what the barrels do to Key in the background. Linderang all alone, trying to engage with that ultimate himself, but now he's just trying to get out of the way. And so BBQ will win the fight after taking down Lava. They want to go down towards that top tier 1 turret, or rather the inhibitor turret, and try to get onto that inhibitor. Now,
Temp doesn't have a summoner spell unused, so he can't teleport back in. Awkwardly will have to return just normally, even with the unsealed spellbook. So BBQ don't feel strong enough to turn, so they just turn back onto the Baron. They saw the recalls. They're just going to take the easiest objective. They don't need to rush and take the 3rd and final inhibitor turret. That was the sort of move that Ignar made his fame on, won the fans back at the Misfits days, especially at Worlds. Watch here, it's not spotted on vision.
So
the
good.
moment a headbutt comes in, Lava knows he's done.
Yeah. He tries to do everything, right? The QSS, the heal, the shields, but it's just not enough.
And from there, just no way for them to puncture through the front line and threaten Ghost. Ghost is eventually ulted, but just alone. There is the headbutt we spoke about, cancels the ultimatum. At level 18, that ultimatum's as long as it was before. I believe 8 seconds at this time, but can disengage it well. So Alistair starting a fight, Alistair also peeling for his AD carry. Ignar did everything right in that fight.
Trying to show Linderang how to flank, if you will. Linderang hasn't had too much luck doing that tonight. And so far the Camille not really having too much luck herself.
Trinity Force complete onto Sangyun. Don't often see triple Trinity Force on a team. But boots sold for Trinity Force. Theory here is that because Sivir is kind of unique in her auto attack cancel, the auto attack canceled into a Trinity Force proc and a crit can just one-shot people. So it's the mobility, but also the chance for extra burst with that Trinity Force.
Okay, we got the push coming in to the mid lane, but incredible amount of wave clear for the ROX Tigers.
And the side waves aren't in order for BBQ either. You notice down the bot lane. Going to be a very slow walk for the No Boots Gangplank to clear up here. No further adjustments on the item build, if you guys were wondering. Just sticking with what was working for Crazy.
attempt picking up that Banshee's Veil towards the end of his items. Just wants to make sure he doesn't get engaged on by the Braum or the Sejuani. Wants to block an additional spell.
And I'm in that awkward spot where ideally Temp will be top lane with teleport and be able to push 3 lanes, but didn't have the summon spell exchange available at the time and needs Ghost for the teamfight phase and to threaten with the ultimate. So kind of just trying to brute force here, our BBQ.
And again, I don't know if this is going to work, right? Sivir with some incredible wave clear. They're thinking about engaging now.
Ult is very short cooldown and does force BBQ to disengage. But it's as the minion wave is coming, so they can't even trade ult for the wave clear.
Okay, they're going to push in on now. Ghost coming in, Linderong, but that ultimate, it hits Ghost in the back line, and Crazy gets punished in the front. His GA is going to be down, and he gets silenced. Down he will go. Sivir gets the kill. So even though the inhibitor is down, they're looking for more kills. Here comes Llama with this package. Make that 3 into 4. Only Ignar will get away. And ROX is going to be looking for some big objectives after that one.
I mean, they might be trying to end the game here, Valdez. It's going to be difficult. So many turrets to puncture through. They're going to at least take 2 inhibitors, though. Death timers are massively long. I think ROX Tigers, with 3 Trinity Force users, I'm going to try and just end it. I think they've won.
Oh man, you can see how fast the turrets go down with those Trinity Forces you were talking about. That's going to be 1 turret, make it 2 into the inhibitor.
It's over.
It's way too long on the death timers, and we are going to be going to a game number 3 as the ROX Tigers, with their Sivir and everything else that they got, will force it here up against BBQ.
Feels a bit like a pickpocket by the ROX Tigers, but they played defensively wherever possible. BBQ over-pursued with summoners down, and they ran through them like a hot knife through butter. The Sivir in the late game, 6 items. Anyone can become a Teddy-style phantom, Teddy-style fountain laser. And now ROX Tigers, stuck with the same lineup, surprisingly in many ways, do pick up the victory and halt the early celebrations for BBQ.
Fantastic ult at the end by Seongwon. Gets it right onto Ghost, forces him to QSS flash out of the fight. Crazy was all alone. It really separated everyone. And it was because they were trying to force that inhibitor to go way down. Let's take a look at the replay.
See, there's a lot of greed here from Crazy in particular, because they think, okay, the ult's used, the next wave is coming. So the fact that they draw the ult without the minion wave there means the Sivir can't just free wave clear after she ults. And BBQ get greedy. Watch what they do. Specifically, Crazy says, I can do a lot of damages, I'll push up. And then, great ult from Seongwon, and they just focus onto Crazy. There's no way for Ignar and Trick to do anything on the back end of this fight. They get no value out of their front line. And for once, the Pirate not being a frontliner is exposed. They continue to flash in. All those summoners are up. That was the ultimatum they were looking for the majority of the game. The cleanup is easy, and triple Trinity Force, double 80 carry. Goodbye turrets, and hello, game 3.
You can see what Crazy was able to do with his barrel. You know, when they got that ultimate out of Sivir, he crit for 1,500 against the Corki. And so maybe that was why he was feeling really overconfident. He's like, I can almost one-shot your mid laner. Let's just do it. But did not help them out as they do lose the game. So guys, stick in your seats. We are going to have a game number 3 between the BBQ Olivers and the ROX Tigers. But first, some game facts.
The lead was there. It was a consistent lead from 25